If you're watching this video, it's likely you've tried to lose weight before. Maybe you tried things like carnivore, intermittent fasting and keto. However, the challenge for most people is not actually losing weight, but rather keeping it off long term. Interestingly enough, research shows up to 92% of people who try to lose weight quickly, they regain that weight within the year. Which is why I always say you're not actually out of the woods when you lose the weight. The challenge often people have is keeping it off long term. So in today's video, I want to speak about, first of all, how you can get lean, how you can lose body fat. But then once you get there, how you can actually stay there. Now, for anyone who does not know me, my name is Adrian McDonald. I'm a full-time online health and fitness coach. We help business owners, CEOs, executives, and career-driven professionals lose body fat, build a solid routine with their fitness, and then make a gradual and sustainable lifestyle change. So in today's video, I want to speak about four main things. Number one is how fat loss actually works, how you can lose body fat, get in shape. Number two is going to be how your metabolism adjusts over time through something called metabolic adaptation. Number three is mistakes to avoid if you actually don't want to regain the weight. And then number four is long-term strategies you can implement to make sure that once you get in shape, you can stay in shape. Okay, so fat loss is essentially governed by one main principle, that is calories in versus calories out. Now your calories in are predominantly going to be coming through foods and liquids, okay? So let's just say you eat 2,500 calories a day, that's going to be your calories in. Your calories out are governed on four main principles. Number one is your resting metabolic rate. This accounts up to 60% of the calories you burn on a daily basis. So your R more is basically the number of calories you would burn if you were to stay in bed all day, resting, without moving, without any form of activity. Number two is going to be the thermic effect of food, roughly 10% of your calories. So the thermic effect of food is essentially as you eat calories, you actually burn calories. Number three is your NEAT, which is your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Think of this as like just everyday movements that you do, such as walking, fidgeting, outside of your normal activity, your normal workout. So for example, if you're a construction worker, you're working in a building site, your NEAT is going to be really high. But if you're a desk worker, you're sitting down all day, your NEAT is probably going to be that bit lower. And then number four is going to be your exercise session itself, whether it's you getting it after in the gym, whether it's you doing cardio or any form of activity. This usually counts, depending on the length and duration, about 10% of your calories. Your NEAT can account for up to 20% of your calories. But again, these are just broad numbers here. It will vary depending on the individual. So let's just say, for example, your maintenance calories are 2,500. In other words, for you to maintain your current body weight, you have to consume 2,500 calories. And if you consume 3,000 calories, which is 500 above your maintenance, you will gain weight. On the flip side though, if you consume 500 fewer calories, which is the 500 calorie deficit, 2,000 calories a day, you will lose weight. However, this brings me on to point number two, is that as you lose weight, metabolic adaptation occurs, where essentially your body will adjust to being in a calorie deficit. So for example, if you lose weight, okay, what's going to happen to your R more? You're not going to burn as many calories you're resting. You're not going to be eating as much food, so therefore your thermic effect of food will reduce. You're not going to be as likely to want to move as much throughout the day, so often your NEAT will reduce. And then finally, your exercise intensity, your sessions that you're actually doing in the gym or your cardio, often you're not able to push yourself as much because of the reduction in calories. So let's just say, for example, at the start of your dieting phase, your maintenance calories are 2,500. Come the end, that could be something like 2,300. So you might think that you're consuming 2,000 calories a day, which was in the past a 500 calorie deficit. Now that only might be a 300 calorie deficit. Now this is not a sign your metabolism is broken. Rather, it's just you need to make some adjustments to make sure you account for metabolic adaptation, which I'll speak about now in a moment. So seen as calories in other words, how many calories you consume on a daily basis, literally governs fat loss. It's a good idea to know how many calories you need to consume to actually lose body fat. So there are so many calculators out there online. If you just Google search TDEE calculator, okay, this will give you a more accurate description. But one of the easiest ways just to start out is, whatever your body weight is in pounds, okay, let's just say you're 180 pounds. Take your body weight and multiply that anywhere from 10, 11 or 12, and that's going to be your daily caloric intake. So for example, 180 pounds multiplied by 10, that's going to be roughly 1,800 calories a day. If you multiply that by 12, that's going to be 2,160 calories a day. Anywhere in that range is generally going to put you in a calorie deficit. Now, once you've calculated your calorie deficit, next up is going to be your protein intake. So protein is so important for your muscle and for your metabolism. So generally what I recommend is 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, or if you're slightly overweight, 1 gram of protein per pound of target body weight. So for example, 180 pounds, that's going to be 180 grams of protein per day. And then finally, when it comes to losing body fat, okay, if you just do those two things but you don't do any form of training or activity, you're just going to turn out to be skinny fat, where you've got skinny arms, a bit too much body fat, and your body has no real shape and tone, okay? So therefore, you need to do some form of resistance training, so that way, when you strip off the stubborn layers of fat, your body has more muscular definition, okay? So the three keys to losing body fat are a calorie deficit, adequate protein intake, and then making sure you're strength training. However, here's where most people go wrong. So generally a 500 calorie deficit per day is going to help you lose up to 1 pound a week. However, often people think that, okay, well, a 500 calorie deficit will help me lose 1 pound a week. Therefore, if I'm in a 1500 calorie deficit, I should lose 3 pounds a week. So they crash site, you will lose weight quite quickly, but problem is two things. Number one, a lot of the weight you will lose will actually be muscle mass and not body fat. And number two, this often promotes yo-yo dieting and binging because you understand it's not sustainable long term. Another mistake people make is they cut out all their favorite foods, food groups, they avoid social events, and they do not enjoy the process. So as a result of this, every time they try to lose body fat, they associate that with restriction, with basically being miserable, and just not actually being happy along the way. So as a result of this, you just tend not to be able to keep those practices up, and again, you just go the other way, and you regain the weight. And the final mistake people make is actually not understanding that there's a big difference between losing body fat and maintaining their body fat. So they have a plan in place for getting there and losing weight, but they don't know what to do afterwards, and as a result they feel a bit lost and they feel a bit stuck. So here are 4 long-term strategies that I have found, having coached over 800 clients, that will help you lose the weight and then maintain the weight once you get there. Number 1 is going to be a sustainable calorie deficit. So as I already said, typically your body weight in pounds, multiply that by 10 to 12, that's going to be your daily calorie target. Usually that's going to be about a 20% calorie deficit. Now, we set our clients at Mac Lifestyle Fitness a target of losing about 10% of their body weight in the first 90 days. So let's just say, for example, you start out your fat loss journey at 180 pounds. Our goal come the end of 90 days is going to be you get down to 162. And this is maybe a bit controversial, but often people say fat loss, it's a marathon, not a sprint. I disagree at the start. I think in the first 90 days, if you go that bit harder for 2 reasons. Number 1 is because when you start a fat loss journey, that typically means you were not in the fat loss phase before this. As a result of this, you've got more energy at the start compared to, let's say, 3 or 4 months into it. Secondly though, one of the biggest reasons that people quit is because they're not happy with the results, because they're not making progress. If you get a quick win inside the first 3 to 4 weeks, okay, that's going to help keep you motivated to stay on track. In fact, we use this approach with one of our clients, Aidan. So he came to us, and inside his first 90 days, he lost 12 kilos of body fat. As a result of this, okay, after his quick wins, he was able to maintain that result, that consistency. We just slow down the fat loss phase. Now, Aidan did not do anything magically. He ate 2,200 calories on average a day, about 180 grams of protein, resistance trained 4 times a week, and just made sure he's getting his steps and his cardio in. After the first 90 days, if you lose 10% of your body weight, a good target then to aim for per month is roughly going to be 2 to 4%. And that's a very gradual but sustainable rate of weight loss, so you can lose body fat while maintaining muscle mass. Now, number 2 is going to be exercise. Now, exercise in itself, it's actually a terrible way to lose body fat. So for example, I could just, would say, do a 10-kilometer run. On my Garmin watch here, would say that I burned 750 calories, okay? If I ate like 10 Oreos, okay, that's 750 calories. I could have those gone in 2 or 3 minutes, and essentially I've ate back all my exercise calories. So exercise by itself is not an efficient way to lose body fat. However, it is a good way to build muscle, and because muscle is more metabolically active at rest than fat does, okay, it would help you burn more calories even while you're resting. But I'd argue more important with exercise is every time you go to the gym, every time you get your steps in, it's a vote towards the person that you want to become. So for example, one of my clients, Johnny here, he started out like 97 kilograms, quite a high body fat percentage, okay? Didn't really enjoy the gym, he was doing lots of cardio. Because he started getting quick wins, because he started seeing progress, he became addicted to the process. And then he actually asked me, we started out with like maybe 3-4 sessions a week. He asked me to do more sessions because for Johnny, mentally, every time that he stepped foot in the gym, it was a vote towards his identity of him being a healthier and fitter individual. That's why the goal is not to go to the gym, it's to become a lifter. The goal is not to run, it's to become a runner. The goal is not to eat a salad, it's to become a healthy eater. And every time that you keep the promises you make to yourself, particularly with your exercise, you're building the confidence in yourself that you are the person you say you are, and you take pride in your word and you keep your word. So generally KPIs with exercise, what I'd recommend is a minimum of 3 strength sessions a week, walk 8,000 steps a day and get 1 hour of cardio in. That's roughly going to equate to 4 hours per week. And if you can set aside 4 hours per week and do that in conjunction with pillar number 1, being a sustainable calorie deficit, you can get in amazing shape. Now, number 3 is just going to be building good sustainable habits over time. So one of the biggest reasons people fail is because they try to do too much at once. However, if you gradually habit stack and just build good sustainable habits, this will help you maintain it long term. So for example, some habits I'd recommend you can do straight away. Number 1 is plan tomorrow today. What time are you going to get up at? What time are you going to get your workout in? What foods are you going to eat? Never go to bed without knowing what you're going to eat the following day. It doesn't mean you have to have your meals prepped out for 7 days, but it does mean that you should know that, okay, for breakfast I'm going to have my omelette in the morning, I'm going to be out for lunch lunch, but I know at the healthy cafe that I can get a good chicken Caesar salad. For dinner time, even we're making some salmon with some sweet potatoes with some vegetables. And for my snacks in between, I'm going to have some Greek yogurt, okay? That's a very, very simple plan that you have in place. Number 2 is going to be set a reverse alarm. Most people's biggest challenge is not actually getting up in the morning. It's being disciplined enough to go to bed at night. So what I personally do is that I would set an alarm about 30 minutes before I'm due to go to bed. And when that alarm goes off, okay, that's a trigger for me that, okay, time to wind down, stop working, get off social media, put on my blue light blocking glasses, okay, and just prepare for bed. Number 3 is going to be first thing in the morning, weigh yourself every single day after you use the bathroom before you eat or drink anything. Because where focus goes, energy flows. And every time you weigh yourself, okay, you're keeping your finger on the pulse, and it's a reminder of, okay, if your weight is going in the right or wrong direction. Again, normal fluctuations on a daily basis are okay, but on a weekly or a monthly basis, you want to make sure you're trending in the right direction. Now, number 4 is going to be hydrate before you caffeinate. So a lot of people, what they do is they get up in the morning and they drink coffee, they drink 1 or 2 cups, and they don't put any water in their mouth at all. Always make sure you hydrate before you caffeinate. And bonus is, okay, you're probably not going to forget to take your coffee, but you might forget to take your supplements. So put your supplements beside the coffee machine. So before you actually grab your coffee, you'll take your supplements. Some supplements that I recommend first thing in the morning include the MVPs. That is protein powder if you don't get enough in your diet, creatine monohydrate, omega-3, and vitamin D. And then finally, another really important habit is actually tracking your food. Okay, the way I see it is that you don't need to track your calories forever. However, sometimes your eyeballs can lie to you if you don't have the data. And because fat loss is essentially governed by calories in versus calories out, if you've no idea how many calories you consume on a daily basis, how are you meant to know if you're going in the right or wrong direction? The more data you have, the more ways you can win. And what we always ask our clients to do, especially for the first 30 days, we track every single thing that we eat or drink. Often remember say that, God, I did not realize that, this one handful of peanuts has got 300 calories. Or I didn't realize that this small little, 2 Oreo cookies, that's got 140 calories. Or on the flip side, I didn't realize that I could have literally 300 grams of strawberries and that's only going to equate to less than 100 calories, okay? The more essential knowledge and education you have around calories in foods, the macronutrient breakdown of them, it will help you essentially make better and more informed decisions. So I recommend track your calories for at least 30 days, and thereafter, what I'd encourage you to do is track them about 3 days a week. So maybe something like 2 weekdays and 1 weekend, just to make sure your eyeballs are not lying to you. Apps I recommend using are either MyFitnessPal or also Chronometer. And then finally, number 4, the most important part you're waiting for is have a post-item plan in place, okay? So a lot of people see fitness, weight loss as like a game, a finite game. So imagine Ireland are playing England. There's going to be a winner, there's going to be a loser. You don't ever win at the game of fitness, and the goal of this game is to keep on playing. So a lot of people, what they do is they set themselves a weight that, okay, I want to lose 20 pounds. And then once they lose the 20 pounds, they realize that life will go on afterwards. So therefore, you have to have a post-item plan in place. So mistakes people make are, number 1, they just binge eat. So, you lose the weight, then you start gorging on pizza, on beers, on drinks, and you regain that weight very, very quickly. Or just mistake number 2 is that people do not understand that it's actually not good to always be in a calorie deficit for too long, and that once you reach your ideal weight, you have to reverse yourself out of it gradually. This is why at Mac Lifestyle Fitness, the final pillar for a one-on-one coaching program is our metabolic reversal phase, where you reverse diet, you reverse your metabolism to help you essentially maintain your results, gain a bit of muscle, okay, without gaining a whole ton of body fat. So how our metabolic reversal phase works is, essentially after the dieting phase, we will increase your calories by roughly 300 to start. So let's just say, for example, you finish your fat loss phase at 1800 calories. What we have found is if we get you back up to, we'll say, 2100 calories, which is still a slight calorie deficit, okay, that's a good way to essentially eliminate some of the hunger, rebuild your metabolism, and just gradually help you increase your calories over time. Then from there, what we'll do is we'll just keep a close eye on your body composition, on your pictures, on your hunger levels, on your body weight, and so on. And usually every single week, we'll increase your calories by 50 to 100 per week. So for example, week 1 you might go from 1800 to 2100, okay? And then if you're feeling good, there's no major adjustment in the scale, you might go from 21 to 2200. And we will keep going up in gradual increments until your weight begins to stabilize and you're happy enough with your body composition. Think of this almost like a reverse taper, okay? Where you're not just going straight back up to eating the exact same way you did pre-dieting, because this is the number 1 reason people regain the weight. Remember what I said, that metabolic adaptation occurs when you lose body fat. So let's just say that your maintenance calories prior to dieting was 2500. You finish at 1800. If you go straight from 1800 to 2500, that actually could be a calorie surplus for you, not a calorie deficit. So what we found works well is that a lot of our clients, when they lose weight, they kind of want to maintain that shape. They want to gain a whole lot of body fat. They want want to see the results of their hard work pay off and for the results to actually maintain them. So what we do is we'll increase by 300 initially and then just gradual increments of maybe 100 per week until our weight stabilizes, our hormones stabilize, and we're happy enough with our body composition. This is what we did with one of our one-on-one clients, Tamim. So his goal was to lose body fat, and once we got there, once he reached his ideal physique, we reverse dieted him, gradually increased his calories, he started lifting more weights in the gym, his energy levels increased, and he was able to maintain those results then long term. Now, in the post-item phase, one final key that I'd recommend is do not change your foods at all, especially for the first month. So let's just say, for example, that you were consuming 50 grams of oats in your dieting phase. All I would do is increase your portion sizes. That could go from 50 to 75 grams. You were having, 100 grams of rice, that can go from 100 to 200. Basically, eat the exact same foods and then just gradually increase the portion sizes. Again, a mistake people make is they just eat way too many hyperpalatable foods, things like cookies, Oreos, ice cream, and so on. And as a result of not having those in a while, okay, you get that sweet tooth, that craving back, and this can often lead to episodes and bouts of binge eating. Okay, so that is all for this week's video. So hopefully at this stage you understand, first of all, how fat loss works, what metabolic adaptation is, mistakes to avoid if you're on a fat loss journey, and then essentially 4 ways you can lose weight and keep it off long term. If you want this all laid out in a customized, personalized plan for you and for your individual goals, where you'll have essentially a customized training plan, a customized nutrition plan, one-on-one calls on my team and I, and just accountability step by step along the way, so there's essentially no guesswork involved. You can click the link in the bio below to schedule a call with me or a member of my team where we can talk about what your goals are, what your challenges are, and see if you might be a good fit. But that's all for this week's video. Make sure you subscribe. Peace out. We'll see you in the next one.